everyone, welcome to this video dedicated to green eyeshadow. Now, green eyeshadow is well known as a colour that is complementary for brown eyes. This is because brown eyes typically aren't just brown, they have all sorts of different shades going on in there, flecks of gold, green, you've got lighter honeyier browns, darker chocolatey browns. My eyes personally have a ring of grey and different shades of green, different depths, undertones, darknesses, etc. Bring out different colours in brown eyes and make them look very slightly different. Green eyeshadow can often make your eyes look a little bit more hazily and a little bit more golden rather than just chocolate brown. If you want to enhance the chocolate brown aspect of your eyes, you can go with a purple eyeshadow, and that will almost do the opposite of green by making your eyes appear even warmer and darker as opposed to lighter and greener. For this look, we're going to start with a gold liquid eyeshadow. It can be any metallic gold liquid eyeshadow. I'm going to use the CYO Pigment paint. I'm not sure if these are still a thing. Like, I haven't been to a store in so long now that I don't know what's still available. But it can be any liquid gold eyeshadow. This one is a really lovely, kind of pale, but definitely still there gold. And I'm gonna coat the eye with this. Just going in with my finger. Doesn't have to be too neat. Can blend it out. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of shine up on the crease area. In fact, we're gonna put a shadow that has a bit of metallicness up into the crease, so you don't have to worry about the gold getting up there. Taking it into the inner corner here. Okay, now that we've got this gold base down, I am going to add a little gold eyeshadow. This is a single from L'Oreal. It is a colour Riche one. It's pretty old. You can use any gold eyeshadow. I mean, they're, gold eyeshadows are like pretty common. I'm going to take this flatter brush so that I can lay the product down. And this is a very soft eyeshadow, so I'm just going to dip into it with my brush. And I'm going to start in the centre of the eye. Just apply this on the lid area. It's a slightly darker gold than the liquid shadow. So we're going to blend it in towards the crease, the inner eye. I can't really speak today. It's been a problem. I keep saying like blush instead of brush and brush instead of blush. I said concealer instead of stick highlight. Like, it's just one of those days. Make sure it's smooth in the crease there. I'm finally going to move on to an actual green. This is a metallic lime green from Kiko. My magnet is actually covering up what the letter is on the back, so I'm gonna have to look at that for you. But again, you don't have to use these exact shadows. You can use any sort of lime green that you like. It can be metallic, it can be non-metallic, whatever you want. And I'm going to take a softer, fluffier, more crease type brush now. And this is a very soft eyeshadow, so I'm just going to dip in gently, and I am going to tap off my brush because these are very soft and you get a lot of kickback. So tap that off. And I'm going to go in to the crease. Just to halfway, not all the way in. The outer edge towards the tip of the brow. Then I'm going in with my finger and I'm going to lay down the colour on the lid in a more impactful way. And I'm going to take the brush I used for the gold and blend that join. A bit extra, the outer edge here. And I am going to take a little bit of bronzer. This is the Revlon Skin Lights Prismatic bronzer, so it's also glowy. And I'm going to take a smaller brush, but still something with a little bit of fluffiness to it, like this. A little bit of bronzer. And then I'm just going to blend the edge a little bit. Because blending green out into skin colour can sometimes result in a bit of a strange tone. So it's good if you take some kind of brown, just blend the edge a little bit so that it doesn't look like a very weird colour. Now, depending on your skin tone, you may have this problem more or less. I think it's more of a problem probably on paler skin tones, where green can make your skin just look a very, very strange colour. I'm going to take a little powder brush and just blend that edge a little bit. I want a little bit more green back now. It's the thing with eyeshadow, it's sort of a lot of switching between colours, just gradually building it up to something that you like. I'm going to take a little bit of matte powder just to take down that shine a little bit under the brow so that it's not quite so intense up there. This is the Soph X Revolution highlight palette, and I'm going to take this lightest gold shade just with my finger and tap a little bit into the inner corner there. Now we're going to move on to a little eyeliner. This is a bright green from Kiko Milano. This is the shade 7, and I recently sharpened it. I'm very proud of myself. And I'm going to put a little bit of this into the lower lash line. And I'm going to blend with the green eyeshadow that I used on the top lid. I'm also going to take my gold eyeshadow, this one, and near the inner part of the eye I'm going to lay down the gold. Blend that through into the green. So now that I have two matching eyes, I've decided I want to add a tiny bit of this green liner on the upper lash line as well, but just at the outer corners. So I'm just going to press it into my lashes here, right at the edge, to add a little stronger pop of green. Bring it in just a little bit, but not further than the centre of the eye. And I'm going to press my green eyeshadow over it with my finger to make it more of a similar colour. Add the same kind of yellowish tone that I have going on. Okay, it's time for mascara, brow gel, all that stuff. And I personally really like this. It looks a little bit different. It's not eyeshadow that you see everybody wearing, and I like that, but it's also not like crazy over the top and super bold. So carry on watching for some more green eyeshadow looks, some of which are definitely darker, bolder, and more intense. I haven't set my face yet because I am going to start with some cream eyeshadow products for a base that I want to be able to blend into my concealer without there being any powder in the way. Now, you don't have to use these kinds of cream base products if you don't want to. I'm going to use this nude one from Revolution and then this green one from Kiko Milano, but you can use any kind of eyeshadow base so that your eyeshadow is more pigmented and sticks to it, like a clear base, or you could just use your wet concealer. But I'm going to start with these. So this is the Revolution one, and I'm just going to take a brush, just a reasonably large brush, and get that in there. I'm just going to brush this onto the eyelid. Not being too precise because this is nude. I just want to create a nice base here for my eyeshadow to stick to. I'm going to go in with the green on the outer portion of the eye, and you don't have to use a green cream shadow. You can use any kind of sticky base for your green eyeshadows to stick to, but I'm going to add this just for an extra bit of vibrancy on the outer edge. I'm going to use my finger and blend this in on the outer edge of the eye. Tidy it up a bit with the brush. Just a little extra on the lid here. I'm going to use a clean finger just to blend that where the crease is. Now that I have my cream eyeshadows on both eyes, I'm just going to quickly set my face before we move on to the powder eyeshadows, because I don't want to drop any dark green shadow onto my foundation and then not be able to get it off. Now that my face is semi-successfully powdered, I'm still sweating like crazy. I'm going to move on to powder eyeshadows, and this is a little palette from Max Factor, which is quite cute. And it's got some pretty green matte shades in it here. And I am actually going to use the little thing that comes with it in a second to get a nice dense application of eyeshadow. But first I'm going to take an angled brush and I'm going to just mark out the edge of the eyeshadow here, because I'm going to create quite a defined edge. I think I'm looking reasonably even. Okay, now I am going to take my little, if I don't drop it, clumsy today, my little sponge tip applicator and go into that dark green that I just used. And I'm going to very carefully come round from that end into the middle here of the crease. And you're going to have to keep closing your eyes and looking straight ahead to create the shape that you want. I want a rounded shape here. My eye folds are a little bit tricky. They change a lot as I open and close my eyes. I have a very deep crease that comes all the way down to the edge here. So I need to close my eye, then open my eye, and then check that I'm in the right place. So with my eye open, I can see that I need to trace here, bringing this shape round, a little higher above the middle of the eye. And that's around the shape that I want. So I'm going to now switch back to my brush that obviously has that cleaner edge, and I'm going to clean up the edge of the shadow. Now I know we would usually blend out the edge, but green is a strange colour to work with, and a lot of the time it can blend out into a very weird, muddy, not very flattering shade when you try and blend it out into your skin tone. So sometimes it's a good idea just to keep the edges defined and go for that as a look instead, and you'll find that a little bit easier sometimes instead of trying to blend it out in a way that looks nice. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to take my lighter green from the same palette. I'm going to take the applicator again, and I'm going to apply this to the inner part of the eye. I'm keeping this at the moment just on the very edge of the eye socket. But I need to connect it up here to the bit above the eye. Just carefully going in with my little sponge, blending the two shades together. I'm going to take the other end of my brush, which is just a little round pointed bit in the light green, and again work on creating that edge. Working out where it needs to be potentially a little bit higher, adding a little more of the dark green here, I'm gonna blend it right in the middle there. Okay, now I need to work on the colour again for the outer portion of eye, the dark green. So I'm gonna fill in this area now. And I would usually use brushes for eyeshadow, but sometimes a sponge tip applicator can give you a really nice concentrated colour finish. Sometimes a finger can be a helpful way to blend. If you have one colour on one finger and one colour on the other, you can sort of alternate between the two here to blend everything together. Of course, we can't forget about the lower lash line, so going back in with my brush and taking the dark green, blending that to approximately the centre. And then I'm going to take my other end, a little bit of the light green, and just mirror the upper eyelid, blending those together. Taking a bit of the green now into the tear duct sort of area down here. And connecting it through. Now that I've got two eyes with eyeshadow, I made this arch here just a little bit higher to match the other one, just to get them completely even. So they're pretty evenly blended now. I'm going to add some liner. This is from NYX and it's called Tropical Green, just to fill in that waterline. And I'm going to tightline with this as well, just to fill in any little gaps between the lashes. My upper lip is just plain sweat. I'm not sure there's any makeup there anymore, it's just sweat. Okay, what I am going to do now is give myself some brows, give myself some lashes and some lips, and I'll be back so that you can see the full, I say full, my hair's still in a towel, but the mostly full effect of full face of makeup with this eyeshadow. Here we have the final look. I've added mascara, obviously brows, done a lip. You could do any lip with this. I think a really dark lip would look really cool and dramatic if you were going out in the evening. I'm not going to dry my hair because it's freaking boiling and I cannot bear to be near a hairdryer. Yeah, I'm not really a false lashes type of person. Like I very, very, very rarely wear them. I just can't be bothered. But if you do like false lashes, this would definitely be a look that would be complemented by some falsies. You could add some black liner to hide the band. You could add some black liner if you wanted anyway. I personally prefer to keep it just green all the way to the edge of the eye, because I think by keeping the green all the way to the edge and not having black liner, you're really showing that like contrast with the eye colour, rather than it being separated by black. Just my personal preference. So that was this look. Let's move on to number 3. Right everyone, welcome to look 3, where we'll be using slightly more olive and khaki green hues. Now the first thing I'm actually going to do is use some brown, because this time we are going to have a blended edge of the eyeshadow. So we need something for our darkest green to blend out into. I have this matte eyeshadow palette here. I've had this a very long time. This is the Ultra Eye Contour Light and Shade from Makeup Revolution. And it's quite a nice palette of just different shades of matte. And I'm going to work this into the crease so that we've got some shading going on and we have a nice blended brown-green transition at the outer side of the eyeshadow. I'm going to make this quite dispersed, which is why I'm using quite a large fluffy brush. I don't want it to be too concentrated and I want it fluffed up almost into the brow. I'm going to use the same shade on the lower lash line. It's still insanely hot today. It's like 34 again. Anyway, I feel like I'm about to melt. Because this is the UK, we do not have air conditioning because it's not supposed to get this hot this often. I feel like many more summers like this and everyone will be investing in like built-in ceiling fans and aircon because it's like getting unbearable. I really personally like the heat. Like my family like to joke that I'm a lizard and I need to bask on a rock in the sun in order to be warm, but there's a point where you need a fan, which we don't own, or an aircon, which we don't have, and it's all a bit much. Okay, I'm gonna blend that lower lash line out a little bit more. I'm gonna take this sort of larger, peachier shade just to blend the edges of the lower lash line. Again, making it quite dispersed. And I'm gonna take that up around the edge of this eyeshadow too. I don't want it to be too ashy or too warm. Okay, I'm now going to take a little bit of an ashier shade now that I've got that slightly warmer shade down. Like I said, I don't want it to be too ashy, but in order to blend into green, it needs a little bit more of an ashy undertone. Just working that just above the crease, my little small brush. And taking my large brush again to blend that out. Now let's move on to some actual green. I have this shadow from Kiko Milano, which is a dark olive. It is metallic. I'll swatch it for you so you can see the kind of colour it is here. Again, the magnet is covering, because it goes in my little like magnetic palette, is covering the name of the shadow, and also these come in square containers now, not round. So I will link an appropriate eyeshadow down below that is the new Kiko version of this. So yeah, it's like a dark olive, slightly metallic colour, and this is what we're going to use at the outer edge. So I'm going to take a flat brush, this one here, to build up my outer edge. So just dipping that directly down into the shadow. I'm going to place it on my lower lash line right at the edge, and then just follow that curve upwards. Now I'm going to take some on the side of this flat brush and bring it in from where I just placed that line. Moving back now to my small fluffy brush and this same green shade, I'm going to start blending this inwards. I'm bringing this green into the crease. Concentrating it here on this outer side. And down on the outer edge of the eyelid. My lip is sweating so bad. Anyone else just get that? Like the one part of my face that is bound to always sweat is my upper lip. Attractive, I know. Okay, I'm again going to take my fluffy brush and I'm going to just blend along that line of green eyeshadow. I'm going to take some of this product off of this brush now on the back of my hand so that it's a little bit cleaner for blending. Just tiny little circular motions. I'm going to return to my flat brush for this edge again because I want it to be a little bit lower, I've decided. Back in with my little blender. I'm going to take a clean fluffy brush and I'm going to dip back into this first brown eyeshadow that I used, just a little bit, and blend over. Now my lower lash line brush that I used with the brown, I'm just not gonna put any more product on it, but I'm gonna use it here, just along this line to blend this slightly. Get that line there, blending it inwards. Okay, we're going to stop with this blending on the outer edge for now and put some shadow onto the lid. So I have a metallic khaki green. This is a L'Oreal Paris shadow in the shade Permanent khaki and it's quite loose, I'm gonna be careful. It's lighter, quite pigmented, but it still has that slightly more khaki olive undertone. So with my finger, I'm gonna apply some of this to the center of the lid. Just using my finger to feel for the edge of the eyelid, getting it up to the edge of the eye socket, all the way out to join this other eyeshadow that we have. I'm going to put a little bit more dark eyeshadow on the outside edge of the eye once I've got this laid down. I take my little blender brush, just work that along the crease. Then I'm going to go back into my dark green and build that up a bit more at the outer edge. I'm bringing this in about a third of the way. Blending up a little bit just to complement the shape of my eye. Blend the edge again with my fluffy brush. I am going to take a little bit more brown again. This time I'm going to take this darker shade here and I'm going to blend that on top of the green and inwards, just to really deepen that up at the outer corner here. Now here's where you can add something a bit more interesting. I have this eyeshadow which is actually a green purple shift. It's from, what is it from? Nabla, and it looks purple in some lights and green in others. So I'm going to add this a little bit to the inner corner just with my finger. I'm going to blend this into my khaki green. And again, I'm going to blend it to about halfway. I'm going to add a little bit more to this inner corner and onto the lower lash line, blending it in to about halfway. Time for me to do the other eye. Now that I have two eyes, I'm going to pop some eyeliner on. This is number 12 Mini Moss from Clinique, and I'm going to put a tiny bit into the upper lash line and underneath the lashes. Now that I have my eyeliner on, I will be back with lashes, brows and everything else. Okay, I'm back. I decided on a purple lip to keep things bold. Obviously you can just go with a nude, go with whatever you want. The lip colour isn't important. The last thing I'm going to do is just intensify this shifting Nabla shade. So I'm going to spray my brush here with some fixing spray and go back into this shadow and just pop a little bit more on that inner corner. And that is everything for this olive green smoky eye. Okay, number 4. Guys, I'm having a terrible time with my camera today. It didn't focus the first time, I had to restart, and then I started again, and then it didn't film. But we haven't missed too much. All I've got is a little bit of blusher and bronzer in the crease, and now I am using a stick eyeshadow. This is one from Rimmel. It is a bright, bright blue, and a small little brush. This is, I think, from Eco Tools. Yes, this is from Eco Tools, to shape out this winged edge of what is going to be my gradient eye. So all I'm doing is, like I say, mark out this wing. I'm going to go in now directly onto the skin. So a bit of this to intensify the colour. Okay, let's move on to some powder eyeshadow. Where is my quad gone? It's just not my day, guys. Okay, here it is. This is a small eyeshadow quad from Revlon, oh my god, which is all greys and blues. So we're going to be using this darkest blue here on the outer edge over the top of this liner. I don't want it to go patchy, so I'm just going to pat it on top very, very carefully. Okay, we're going to leave the blue for now and go back and work on that a little bit more later to blend it into our other eyeshadows. Now I'm going to go to the inner part of the eye and work out from there. I'm going to be using a highlighter palette from Revolution. This is the Soph X palette, and I'm going to use this lightest gold that we have here. So again, with a little brush, I'm going to take this gold eyeshadow and use this on the inner part of the eye. Just around the tear duct area here and up onto the inner third. This is a very pigmented highlighter palette. I honestly use it more for eyeshadow than I do on my face. But if you want something that is bam, it's good. I personally usually use liquid or cream highlight on my face, but it's always good to have some powder highlights hanging around as well. Now that we've got our gold on, we're going to move on to our green. So I'm going back to this Kiko lime green. I'm going to focus this on the centre of the lid, using my finger so I get a nice concentrated amount of colour. And I'm going to use a clean finger to blend the gold and the green together. Okay, now we have our darker green. And this is a shadow from Makeup Geek. It's called Secret Garden. It's a forest green with a slight blue hint to it that is very, very shimmery as well. So again, I'm going to use my finger. Let me wipe my finger so that it is clean. And I'm starting at the outer part of the eyelid, just inside our blue, really laying that down there on the corner of the eye. Just going to connect it up at the top here where that line ends from the blue that we drew on. Take that eyeshadow brush that I used for the blue powder shadow. I'm just going to use this to blend a little bit as well. Going in with my green again here, my lime green, to blend these two shadows together. Touching up my blue at the edge here, where I've got a little bit too much green onto it. A little bit more of this Makeup Geek dark green, I think. I'm going to bring it in a little further than originally planned. I'm around about happy with that. Just got to match up the other eye now. Now that I have two matching eyes, I can add to the lower lash line. So for the lower lash line, I'm going in with my blue again, this one from Revlon. Where's the right brush? Here we go. The brush I've been using with the blue. And I'm going to put this to halfway underneath the lash line here. Then I'm going to take my lime green and connect that underneath here. And a little touch of my forest green in the middle. Boom. Boom. Okay, a little bit of a liner now. So I have this green from NYX, and again I have my blue shadow stick that I was using before. I'm going to put a little blue on the lower waterline, and for the upper lash line and the tight line I have my green, so I'm going to go under the lashes all the way in, and a little bit above the lash line as well, thicker on the outer edge, and then just coming in right to the lash line as we meet the centre of the eye right above the pupil. I will be back with lashes, lips and brow gel. So that is this final green look done. I actually think this blue-green eyeshadow look might be my favourite out of all of them. Save the best till last, that's what they say. I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I hope it gave you some inspiration, some ideas, and just, yeah, made you want to play around with the green eyeshadows that you have. Maybe made you want to buy a lime green eyeshadow. Yeah, that was everything. I know this was long, but you can skip to the parts that you want, I guess. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Check out some of my other videos, and I will see you all next time. Bye!